Hashtag alien warlords mocked Earth's primitive guns. Until they faced a deadly rifleman, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the low hum of translation devices as representatives from 12 different species gathered around the massive obsidian table. At its head sat Warlord Vextar, his forearms folded across his chitinous chest, mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among his kind. The Zephyrian's reputation preceded him, conqueror of 17 star systems, crusher of the peaceful Altarian colonies, and now, apparently, Earth's newest problem. So, Vextar's voice rumbled through the chamber's speakers. The hairless apes of Terra wished to negotiate. His compound eyes shifted to the human delegation seated at the far end of the table. How quaint. Ambassador Sarah Chun maintained her composure despite the obvious contempt in the alien's tone. She had been chosen for this mission not just for her diplomatic skills, but for her ability to remain calm under pressure. Earth's first contact with the galactic community had been far from the peaceful exchange they had hoped for. Instead, they had found themselves face-to-face with an aggressive confederation of species that viewed newer civilizations as either vassals or obstacles. "We come seeking peaceful coexistence," Chin said, her voice steady. "Earth has much to offer the galactic community. Our scientists have made remarkable advances in..." Vextar's mandibles clacked louder, cutting her off. "Advances? You still use chemical propellants in your weapons. Gunpowder and metal projectiles." The other alien representatives joined in what could only be described as laughter, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and harmonic frequencies that made the human skin crawl. The crystalline delegate, Lord Zarthul, spoke next. His voice chimed like broken glass. "We have observed your military capabilities, humans. Your bullets cannot even penetrate our personal shielding. Your largest explosives are mere fireworks compared to plasma artillery." "Indeed," added General Korth of the Hegemony Marines, his trunk-like nose flaring. "Our scouts report that your most advanced warriors still carry these rifles into battle. It is almost endearing how primitive you remain." Chun felt her jaw clench, but before she could respond, Colonel Marcus Stone spoke for the first time. The grizzled veteran had been silent throughout most of the proceedings, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he stood at attention. His presence had been requested specifically by the alien delegation. They wanted to see what Earth considered its finest soldier. "Permission to speak, Ambassador." Stone's voice was gravelly, worn smooth by years of command. She nodded, curious to see where this was going. Stone stepped forward, his combat boots clicking against the polished floor. "With respect, Warlord Vextar, you seem to know a lot about our weapons for someone who's never faced them." The chamber fell silent. The alien representatives exchanged glances, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of chirps, clicks, and harmonic tones. Vextar leaned forward, his massive frame casting a shadow across the table. "Are you questioning my intelligence gathering, human?" "Not at all," Stone replied, his expression neutral. "I'm just wondering if your scouts ever got close enough to see what a bullet can really do." The warlord's four arms spread wide in what appeared to be a gesture of mock surprise. "Please enlighten us. What can your primitive projectiles accomplish against modern warfare technology?" Stone reached into his jacket and slowly withdrew a single brass cartridge, placing it on the table with a soft clink. The alien's various sensory organs focused on the small object with what could only be described as amusement. "This," Stone said simply, "is a .338 Lapua Magnum. Weighs about 300 grains, travels at roughly 2,900 feet per second. Nothing fancy by your standards, I'm sure." Lord Zarthul's crystalline form shimmered with what passed for laughter among his species. A metal slug propelled by chemical combustion. "How charmingly archaic." "Maybe," Stone acknowledged. "But here's the thing about bullets. They're not just about the technology. They're about the person behind the trigger." He picked up the cartridge and held it up to the light streaming through the chamber's vast windows. "This little piece of metal has ended wars, changed history, and brought justice to places where laws couldn't reach. Not because it's the most advanced technology, but because when you put it in the hands of someone who knows how to use it, it becomes something more than the sum of its parts." Vextar's mandibles clicked dismissively. "Pretty words, human, but words will not save your species when my fleets arrive at Earth's borders." Stone placed the cartridge back in his pocket and straightened. No, sir, they won't. But maybe this will help you understand why we're not as worried as you think we should be. The tension in the room was palpable as the two sides stared at each other across the vast table. Outside the windows, the stars twinkled innocently, unaware that they were about to witness a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of warfare, technology, and the indomitable human spirit. Ambassador Chun felt a chill run down her spine, not from fear, but from the quiet confidence in Stone's voice. She had read his file, knew his reputation, but seeing him in action was something entirely different. The aliens thought they understood human warfare, but they were about to learn that some lessons could only be taught the hard way. Hashtag alien warlords mocked Earth's primitive guns until they faced a deadly rifleman 3 weeks after the disastrous diplomatic meeting. Warlord Vextar's invasion fleet hung in space like a swarm of metallic locusts, their hulls gleaming under Earth's sun. The Zephyrian commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher, watching the blue-green planet rotate slowly beneath him. His 4 arms worked independently at different control consoles, coordinating the deployment of his forces with practiced efficiency. Status report, he commanded, his mandibles clicking impatiently. General Korth's massive form materialized as a hologram beside him. Landing forces are in position, Warlord. 1,000 of our finest warriors, equipped with personal energy shields, plasma rifles, and kinetic disruptors. The human settlement designated Denver has been selected for the demonstration. Vextar's compound eyes focused on the tactical display, showing the human city below. Intelligence reports indicated it housed nearly 3 million inhabitants, more than enough to make their point. The plan was simple and brutal. Eliminate the population center, broadcast the footage across human networks, and watch the planet surrender within hours. And their military response? Vextar asked. Pathetic, Korth replied, his trunk-like nose flaring with disdain. Approximately 50 human soldiers have taken defensive positions around the city's perimeter. They carry the same primitive rifles we observed during negotiations. Our shields will render their weapons completely ineffective. The warlord's mandibles spread in what passed for a grin. Excellent. Ensure our recording devices capture every detail. I want the humans to see exactly how outmatched they are. Far below, in the foothills outside Denver, Colonel Marcus Stone adjusted his position behind a rocky outcropping. His rifle, a custom-built precision instrument that he had carried through more conflicts than he cared to count, lay steady on its bipod. Through his scope, he could see the alien dropships descending like angry wasps toward the city's outskirts. Stone's radio crackled to life. Overwatch, this is command. Enemy forces are landing in sectors 7 through 12. Approximately 1,000 hostiles, advancing in formation. Stone keyed his mic. Copy that command. I have eyes on the primary landing zone. Range to nearest targets, 2,300 meters. Overwatch, be advised. Intelligence suggests enemy personal shielding technology. Your weapon may not be effective. A ghost of a smile crossed Stone's weathered face. Roger that. We'll see about that. He had chosen this position carefully, elevated with clear sight lines across the valley where the aliens were establishing their beachhead. His rifle was loaded with ammunition that represented decades of human innovation. Tungsten core projectiles designed to defeat modern body armor, each round hand-loaded for maximum accuracy. Through his scope, he watched the alien forces deploy. They moved with confidence, their energy shields shimmering around them like soap bubbles. Their weapons were clearly advanced, sleek, efficient-looking devices that hummed with contained power. They had every reason to be confident. The first target came into view, a hegemony Marine directing traffic near the landing zone. General Korth himself, if Stone's briefing materials were accurate. The alien's massive form was unmistakable, and his position at the center of the formation marked him as a high-value target. Stone adjusted his scope's elevation, accounting for the extreme range, wind conditions, and the slight gravitational differences caused by the alien ship's presence. His breathing slowed, became mechanical as muscle memory took over. Inhale, exhale, hold. The crosshairs settled on his target. On the alien landing zone, General Korth was barking orders to his subordinates when something impossible happened. His personal energy shield technology that had protected him through 100 battles across the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. Not overloaded, not disrupted, but punched through as if it were made of tissue paper. The tungsten core projectile, traveling at nearly 3,000 feet per second, struck him center mass. The impact was devastating, the alien's massive form crumpling instantly. The sound of the shot reached the landing zone almost 2 seconds later, a distant crack that seemed impossibly small for the destruction it had just caused. Confusion rippled through the alien ranks. Their sensors had detected no energy weapons fire, no plasma discharge, no gravitational anomaly. General Korth was simply gone. What happened? Vextar's voice roared through the communications network. Report. The response was chaos. Multiple voices speaking over each other in various alien languages, all expressing the same bewilderment. Stone had already acquired his next target. A crystalline officer was gesturing frantically near a communication array, probably trying to coordinate a response. The human sniper adjusted his aim and squeezed the trigger again. The second shot struck the crystalline being's torso, and the alien literally shattered like glass, its fragments scattering across the landing zone. Panic began to set in among the invasion force. Their advanced sensors could detect no incoming threats, yet their commanders were dying with mechanical precision. The shots seemed to come from nowhere, striking through their supposedly impenetrable defenses as if they didn't exist. Scatter. Take defensive positions. The order came from a Zephyrian lieutenant, but before he could finish speaking, Stone's third shot found its mark. Stone worked methodically, professionally. Each shot was placed with surgical precision, targeting officers and technical specialists. He wasn't trying to kill every alien on a landing zone. That was impossible. Instead, he was dismantling their command structure, creating chaos and confusion that would spread like wildfire through their ranks. His radio crackled again. Overwatch, this is command. We're reading massive confusion in the enemy formation. What's your status? Stone ejected a spent cartridge and chambered a fresh round. Target-rich environment, command. Their shields don't seem to be designed for kinetic penetration at high velocity. Continuing engagement. Above the planet, Warlord Vextar stared at his tactical displays in growing disbelief. His elite invasion force, warriors who had conquered star systems, were in complete disarray. The humans hadn't even activated any detectable weapons systems, yet his casualties were mounting steadily. How was this possible? He demanded. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs. But down the foothills, Marcus Stone was providing the answer one carefully placed shot at a time. The aliens had made a fundamental error. They had confused technological advancement with tactical superiority. They had shields designed to stop energy weapons, but had never encountered a species that still perfected the art of kinetic warfare. Each muzzle flash from Stone's position was like a thunderclap announcing humanity's refusal to surrender. The invasion was about to become something very different than what Vextar had planned. Alien Warlords mocked Earth's primitive guns. Until they faced a deadly Rifleman, the alien landing zone had descended into complete chaos. What had begun as an orderly invasion force was now a scattered collection of terrified soldiers huddling behind whatever cover they could find. The precision strikes continued with mechanical regularity. Every few minutes, another shot would ring out across the valley, and another member of their command structure would fall. Vextar's voice crackled over the communication network, his earlier confidence replaced by barely controlled fury. Find the source of these attacks. Deploy hunter-killer squads immediately. Captain Thexal, one of the few remaining Zephyrian officers on the ground, coordinated the search effort. His 4 arms worked frantically at his tactical display, trying to triangulate the position of their mysterious attacker. Advanced sensors swept the surrounding hills, looking for heat signatures, electromagnetic anomalies, anything that might indicate the presence of sniper. Sector 7 shows possible movement, reported a technician. Approximately 2.3 kilometers northeast of our position. Confirmed, Thexal replied. Dispatch Hunting Party Alpha. Full complement of tracking equipment. The hunter-killer squad consisted of 6 hegemony Marines, each equipped with the finest technology their civilization could produce. Their suits provided active camouflage. Their weapons could punch through armor plating, and Their sensors could detect a heartbeat from a kilometer away. They moved with confidence through the rocky terrain, certain that they would finally corner their elusive target. Stone watched them approach through his scope. He had relocated twice since the engagement began, but his new position offered excellent overwatch of the valley and multiple escape routes. The alien hunting party was impressive. Their equipment was clearly advanced, and they moved with professional skill. But they made one crucial mistake. They assumed their opponent would behave like any other sniper they had encountered. Instead of running, Stone waited until they were within optimal range, then systematically eliminated them one by one. His first shot took the squad leader from 800 meters. The second dropped their technical specialist before the aliens could even identify where the fire was coming from. By the time the surviving members of the hunting party took cover, half their number was gone. "This is impossible," one of the surviving Hegemony Marines reported back to base. "Our sensors detect nothing. No muzzle flashes, no energy signatures, nothing. It's like fighting a ghost." Stone smiled grimly as he adjusted his position. The alien sensors were designed to detect energy weapons and advanced technology. They were utterly unprepared for something as simple as smokeless powder and a well-designed muzzle brake that dispersed the flash signature. His radio crackled. "Overwatch, this is base command. Satellite imagery shows the main alien force is beginning to withdraw toward their landing craft." Stone studied the situation through his scope. The aliens were indeed falling back, but it wasn't a retreat. It was a tactical repositioning. They were learning, adapting to the threat. That made them dangerous. "Copy that, Command. Looks like they're calling in air support." Sure enough, sleek alien aircraft were lifting off from the main landing zone, their weapon systems charging with visible energy buildup. Stone knew he had perhaps minutes before they would carpet bomb the entire area. But he wasn't done yet. Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his mandibles clicking in rage as he watched the tactical display. A single human soldier had decimated his elite landing force, and now his commanders were requesting orbital bombardment support to deal with one sniper. "This is unacceptable," he snarled. "Deploy everything. I want that human found and eliminated." Lord Zarthul materialized beside him as a hologram, his crystalline form shimmering with what might have been concern. "Warlord, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. This human's capabilities exceed our intelligence estimates." Vextar whirled on the crystalline delegate. "Are you suggesting we withdraw? Flee from a single primitive warrior?" "I'm suggesting that perhaps we have underestimated human military doctrine," Zarthul replied carefully. "Their weapons may be technologically inferior, but their application, silence." Vextar's forearms slammed against his control console. "I will not be lectured about warfare by a species that has never conquered anything stronger than a trading post." Down on the planet's surface, Stone had identified his next target of opportunity. Through his scope, he could see an alien communication array being hastily assembled near the original landing zone. If he could take that out, it would severely compromise their coordination abilities. The range was extreme, nearly 3 kilometers, but Stone had made longer shots under worse conditions. He adjusted for wind, elevation, even the slight gravitational anomalies caused by the alien ships overhead. His breathing slowed to the rhythm he had learned decades ago in training. The shot took 4 seconds to reach its target. The specialized round, a high-explosive armor-piercing design that had been developed for anti-material purposes, struck the communication array's central node and detonated. The explosion sent fragments of alien technology scattering across a 100-meter radius. Instantly, the alien formation's coordination collapsed. Units that had been moving in precise formation suddenly found themselves isolated, their communication network severed. Stone was already moving to his next position when the alien aircraft arrived overhead. Their bombardment was precise and devastating, turning his previous hide into a smoking crater within seconds. But by then, he was already 800 meters away, setting up for his next shot. His radio crackled again. "Overwatch, this is Command. Additional human forces are moving to support your position. ETA, 15 minutes. Stone smiled as he settled into his new position. "Negative, Command. Tell them to stay back and watch. I think our visitors are about to learn something important about human warfare." Through his scope, he could see the aliens regrouping again, their formation tighter now, more cautious. They were learning, but they were learning the wrong lessons. They thought they were fighting advanced technology disguised as primitive weapons. They still didn't understand that they were fighting something far more dangerous than any technology, a human warrior who refused to quit. The sun was beginning to set over the Colorado mountains, casting long shadows across the valley. In the growing twilight, Marcus Stone prepared to teach the galaxy's greatest military minds a lesson they would never forget. Sometimes the most advanced weapon isn't the newest technology. Sometimes it's the oldest one, perfected by someone who knows how to use it. Alien Warlords mocked Earth's primitive guns until they faced a deadly rifleman. The setting sun painted the Colorado Valley in shades of red and gold as the standoff entered its sixth hour. What had begun as a demonstration of overwhelming alien superiority had transformed into something else entirely, a masterclass in human warfare that was being broadcast across the galaxy. Aboard the Bone Crusher, Warlord Vextar found himself in an impossible situation. His invasion force was pinned down by a single human soldier. His casualties were mounting, and representatives from a dozen species were demanding explanations for how the mighty Zephyri military could be stymied by one primitive sniper. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving priority transmissions from the Galactic Council. They're demanding a full tactical assessment." Vextar's mandibles clicked in frustration. The other species were watching this debacle unfold, and his reputation, built over decades of conquest, was crumbling with each passing hour. "Deploy the stalker units," he commanded. "Full stealth capability, thermal masking, the works. I want that human eliminated before." His order was interrupted by another report from the surface. "Command, this is Reconnaissance 7. The target has eliminated our secondary communication hub. We are operating under full communication blackout." Down on the planet, Stone had indeed found and destroyed another critical piece of alien infrastructure. But more importantly, he had learned something crucial about his opponents. They were heavily dependent on their technology, so dependent that disrupting their communication network created a cascade failure in their tactical coordination. His radio buzzed with a transmission from Human Command. "Overwatch, be advised, enemy stealth units are moving through your sector. Advanced camouflage technology detected on thermal imaging." Stone keyed his mic. "Copy that. How many?" "Satellite shows at least 12 signatures, possibly more." "They're good, Colonel. Really good." Stone studied the terrain around his position. The aliens had finally deployed their elite units, warriors specifically trained for hunting targets like him. These wouldn't be the confused soldiers he had been picking off all day. These would be professionals who understood stealth, patience, and the art of the hunt. But they were about to learn that humans had been perfecting those same arts for millennia. Stone began to move, not randomly, but according to a pattern he had learned during decades of warfare. He set false trails, created misleading signs of his presence, and prepared a series of defensive positions that would allow him to engage the enemy on his terms. The first stalker unit found his old position within an hour. They were impressive, nearly invisible to the naked eye, their suits bending light around them like water. Their weapons were silent, deadly, and their movements showed the kind of training that took years to perfect. But Stone was no longer there. He had moved 300 meters west to a position that offered clear sight lines to his previous hide. When the first stalker moved into the open, confident in his camouflage, Stone was ready. The shot was not particularly difficult by his standards, only 600 meters with good visibility and minimal wind. The specialized round he used had been designed for exactly this situation, a tungsten penetrator that could punch through advanced armor systems. The stalker's stealth suit failed catastrophically when the bullet struck, systems overloading in a cascade of sparks. The alien's death was instantaneous, but more importantly, the failure of his suit revealed him to his fellows. Suddenly, the remaining stalkers found themselves in the worst possible tactical situation. They were being hunted by someone who could see them, but remain unseen himself. Stone moved again, this time to a position that allowed him to observe the aliens' response. They were good, very good. They adapted quickly, changing their search pattern and using their technology creatively. But they made one fundamental error. They assumed their opponent was like them. Instead of using advanced technology to hunt them, Stone relied on skills that predated civilization itself. He read the terrain, understood how the wind moved through the valley, recognized the subtle signs that revealed where his enemies would move next. When the second stalker died, struck down while crossing what should have been a safe piece of ground, panic began to set in among the remaining hunters. Aboard the flagship, Vextar was receiving increasingly frantic reports from his elite forces. "Sir, the stalker units are requesting immediate extraction. They report impossible targeting accuracy from an undetectable source." "Impossible," Vextar snarled. "Deploie orbital surveillance." Full spectrum analysis. "I want every square meter of that valley scanned." The orbital scans revealed nothing useful. Stone had chosen his positions to avoid detection from above, using natural terrain features and his understanding of how alien sensors functioned. To the sophisticated detection equipment aboard the alien ships, the valley appeared empty except for the remaining stalker units. But those units were dying one by one, picked off with methodical precision by an enemy they couldn't locate, couldn't predict, and couldn't understand. By the time full darkness fell, only 3 of the 12 stalkers remained. They had taken defensive positions and were calling for immediate extraction, their confidence completely shattered. Stone settled into his final position of the day, a natural hide that offered excellent concealment and multiple escape routes. Through his night vision scope, he could see the remaining aliens huddled in their defensive positions, their advanced technology failing them when faced with an opponent who fought by different rules. His radio crackled one last time before he switched to passive mode. "Overwatch, this is command. Enemy forces are withdrawing to their landing craft. Looks like they're preparing to lift off." Stone smiled grimly as he watched the aliens retreat through his scope. They weren't just withdrawing their forces, they were fleeing. The mighty invasion fleet that had arrived with such confidence was preparing to leave Earth's orbit, defeated not by superior technology or overwhelming force, but by one human soldier with a rifle and the patience to use it properly. But the lesson was far from over. As the alien ships prepared to depart, Stone lined up one final shot. Not at a person, but at the sensor array on the lead transport. The message was clear. Even as they ran, they were not beyond his reach. The shot struck home, and the alien transport's navigation systems failed, forcing an emergency landing back on the planet they thought they were leaving. Sometimes the most important victories aren't won through destruction, but through demonstration. The galaxy was about to learn that humans couldn't be conquered through technological superiority alone. They would need to understand something far more complex and dangerous, the human spirit. Hashtag Alien Warlords mocked Earth's primitive guns until they faced a deadly Rifleman. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 3 days after what historians would later call the Denver demonstration. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered virtually, their forms flickering in holographic displays as they tried to make sense of what had transpired in the skies above Earth. Warlord Vextar stood before the assembly, his 4 arms hanging limply at his sides. The confident conqueror who had mocked human warfare just days before now appeared diminished, his mandibles clicking nervously as he prepared to deliver his report. "The human military capabilities," he began slowly, "were significantly underestimated in our initial assessment." A murmur of various alien sounds rippled through the assembly. Lord Zarthol's crystalline form shimmered as he leaned forward. "Explain how a single primitive warrior armed with chemical projectiles decimated your elite forces, Warlord." Vextar's compound eyes focused on something beyond the holographic displays. "The human designated Colonel Stone eliminated 37 of my soldiers over the course of 8 hours. 17 officers, 12 technical specialists, and 8 stalker units. All killed at ranges exceeding 2 kilometers with weapons that our sensors barely registered." The chamber erupted in what passed for shocked discussion among the various species. Delegate Morgath of the Silicon Consortium spoke first. "This makes no sense. Our energy shields can deflect plasma bursts that would vaporize a starship. How did primitive bullets penetrate them?" "Because," Ambassador Sarachin's voice cut through the alien chatter, "your shields weren't designed for kinetic impact. You become so focused on energy-based warfare that you forgot the fundamental principles of physics." Chin's holographic form appeared at the center of the council chamber, her presence commanding attention from every delegate present. Behind her, tactical displays showed footage from the battle, not from alien sources but from human satellites that had recorded the entire engagement. Colonel Stone used standard military ammunition. Nothing exotic or advanced by our standards, she continued. Tungsten core projectiles traveling at approximately 3,000 feet per second. Your personal shields are designed to deflect energy, not absorb kinetic impact. The display showed slow-motion footage of Stone's bullets striking alien shields. The energy barriers, so effective against plasma weapons, simply collapsed under the focused kinetic energy of a properly placed shot. But the accuracy, protested Captain Thexel, one of the few surviving alien officers from a landing force. No living being could achieve such precision at those ranges. Chun smiled, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. That's where you made your second mistake. You assumed our weapons were the threat. They're not. The threat is the warrior using them. The display changed to show archival footage from Earth's military history. Snipers from various conflicts, demonstrating the kind of precision shooting that human soldiers had been perfecting for generations. Colonel Stone has been training for over 30 years, Chun explained. He can place a bullet in a target the size of a dinner plate from over a mile away, in any weather condition, accounting for wind, gravity, atmospheric pressure, and target movement. This isn't technology, it's skill. Warlord Vextar found his voice again. One warrior, however skilled, should not be able to defeat an entire invasion force. You're right, Chun agreed. But that's your third mistake. You assumed Colonel Stone was fighting alone. The display shifted again, showing a map of Earth with thousands of red dots scattered across its surface. Those markers represent human snipers with similar capabilities. Veterans, competition shooters, hunters, military specialists. Every major population center on Earth has dozens of them. Every rural area has more. The alien delegates stared at the display in growing horror as the implications sank in. You plan to invade a planet defended by millions of people trained from childhood to place projectiles precisely where they want them, Chun continued. Our children play games that would qualify as advanced marksmanship training by galactic standards. Our recreational shooters routinely achieve accuracy standards that your military considers impossible. Lord Zarthol's form flickered with what might have been fear. This changes everything. If humans possess such widespread military capability, we don't just possess it, Chun interrupted. We've been perfecting it for millennia. While you developed energy weapons and personal shields, we perfected the art of warfare itself. She gestured, and the display showed historical battles from Earth's past. Ancient archers placing arrows with deadly precision, riflemen picking off targets from impossible ranges, modern soldiers adapting to any terrain or situation. The rifle Colonel Stone used is over a century old in design. The tactics he employed date back thousands of years. This isn't our most advanced military capability. It's our most basic. The silence in the chamber was profound as the alien delegates absorbed this information. Ambassador Chun stepped forward, her voice taking on a diplomatic tone. Which brings us to why we requested this session. The Galactic Council has a choice to make. What kind of choice? Asked General Court's replacement, a younger hegemony officer who had been hastily promoted. You can continue to view humanity as a primitive species to be conquered or controlled, Chun replied. In which case, you'll discover that Earth has more Colonel Stones than you have soldiers. Or, she paused, letting the silence stretch. You can accept humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization, with all the benefits that partnership would bring. Vextar's mandibles clicked uncertainly. What kind of benefits? Chun smiled, and this time it was genuine. Colonel Stone didn't just defeat your invasion force. He studied your technology while he was doing it. He identified 17 separate vulnerabilities in your equipment design, 3 major tactical doctrines that would fail against peer opponents, and 2 critical supply chain dependencies. She gestured again, and a detailed technical analysis appeared on the displays. This is what human military thinking can offer the galaxy. Not just individual warriors who can outfight your best, but tactical and strategic innovations that could revolutionize how you approach warfare. The delegates exchanged glances, their various forms of communication creating a complex symphony of consideration. Furthermore, Chun added, Earth has resources you need, technologies you could use, and allies you could trust. The question is, do you want us as partners, or do you want to keep learning hard lessons from people like Colonel Stone? Far below, in the Colorado mountains, Marcus Stone was cleaning his rifle in the same methodical way he had done thousands of times before. The alien invasion was over. The galaxy was beginning to understand what they were dealing with, and Earth's place in the galactic community was being rewritten. But Stone wasn't thinking about politics or diplomacy. He was thinking about the next time someone would underestimate what a human warrior could accomplish with the right tool and the skill to use it properly. Because there would always be a next time. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't any particular technology or innovation. It was the fact that humans never stopped improving, never stopped learning, and never, ever gave up. And sometimes that was more than enough to change the course of history.